How are we getting on, folks? Look at it was a funny sort of a day, a bit of a hit and miss day, more so than anything else. Look at in terms of calling races and in terms of trying to find value, you have to look at things from two different aspects. Obviously, look, we got no winners there today. That's definitely a bit of a bummer on my end, but in terms of calling races, I'm fairly happy with how things went. I told you all to stay away from Risk Factor. I said he was the lay of the meeting. I think he ended up going off at something like 5-6, which was 5-4. So that was fairly short for a horse that just hasn't shown enough over hurdles yet. And lo and behold, he just didn't put out his landing gear going over the second last. I suppose look at what we got for value then in terms of an each way aspect with Sir Jack West, and what a run he put up. Absolutely flew up the hill in Navan there today. Finished like an absolute train. I thought we were on the back of a winner there, actually, to be quite honest with you. Definitely, I'm very, very happy with his improvement. I think he's going to come on very well for his next run. The drying ground is definitely going to his favour now as well. I definitely think he's going to be a very, very talented summer horse now coming into the summer months now, and with the drying ground and everything else like that, it's definitely going to be to his favour more so than anything else. Obviously, then with Coventry, I know I said he was the most likelier winner, but in terms of value, there wasn't really any there. I said if there's a horse that's going to take him on, it's going to be yeah, baby, the only filly in the race. And lo and behold, it was a 1-2, so you can't get much better than that. In terms of the rest of the races, then it wasn't really great. I know I did say to stay away from Presenting Dylan and Endless Cash, and I hope you did, because neither of them even featured. Both of them were fairly sharp price favourites, but just trying to find the one to take them on was the hard part for me. Just we didn't call it right. We got it half right on the day, and just it goes like that sometimes. Look at this jump race. It's going to happen now and again where you're going to get it 90% and it just falls short of the last hurdle. But look at going into tomorrow with Clonmel, as most of you know, that would be following the page, I have a little nickname on this course called Clean Sweep Clonmel. This is definitely one of my best strike rates in any course in Ireland. I absolutely love the track. I just don't know what it is about it. But in terms of trying to pick winners and trying to predict races as well, I find Clonmel is definitely an awful lot easier to predict how things are going to go, instead of, I suppose, the likes of Navan there today, or just off the top of my head, one of my worst strike rates, probably the likes of Kilbeggan, which is like you may as well be throwing the dart at the dartboard trying to pick a winner there. It's definitely no better race in Kilbeccan or Downpatrick anyway, that's definitely for sure. But I suppose, look, going into tomorrow, I am confident. I am very, very hopeful. I've got some very, very nice prices in here, some very big prices. I think they're going to run absolute stormers of races tomorrow, and I think there might be a few upsets as well. So look, if you're going to be having a bet, I want to wish you the very, very best of luck, but we may as well crack on with it and get things going here now. First of all, the first race off the 2:30. This one here is, I think it's a chase, is it? No, it's a claiming hurdle. Over 2 mile 2. So is it 2 mile 2? Yeah, 2 mile 2. Now this one here there's two giant favourites in here, Ardemir and Beyond the Law. Obviously, look at the rating of Ardemir is definitely signifying a better horse, but realistically, this horse wants good ground, and I don't think he's going to get it tomorrow. It's currently around soft. The weather is starting to, I suppose, the weather is starting to, I suppose, go backwards in Ireland now in terms of getting better in going into the summer. It's nearly, well, what's predicted anyway is basically a big a big rainstorm, more so than anything else. So if that happens and things start, I suppose, degrading the ground, Ardemir is definitely going to be on the back foot here. To replace that selection is definitely going to be going with his main market rival, Beyond the Law from Mouse Morris, Darragh O'Keefe. I really, really like this horse. I think he's coming in here very, very nicely treated. Obviously, look at with Darragh on board, he's one of the best jockeys in Ireland. I don't care what anyone says. He is definitely an outstanding talent, without a shadow of a doubt. Mouse Morris, obviously being a local man to Clonmel. I think the fact that it's a course and distance winner, and he has got form in this sort of ground, I think more than likely you're going to see Beyond the Law get his head in front. I think Ardemir is going to want a bit more drying in the ground. His best form is over good. I know, look at Jordan Gainford is really, really starting to come into his own now and start getting plenty of winners. But I just think this ground is going to be a bit too sticky for him. And if that's the case, look at Beyond the Law with Darragh O'Keefe on his back is definitely going to sweep up. I think 7-4 is definitely very, very nice price for Beyond the Law, and in my opinion, he should be just shading, just shading over even money. I'd be pricing him up in around 5-4. If I was a bookmaker now, just the fact the ground is currently with Beyond the Law, I think that's definitely going to be a big, big advantage to him. He needs soft ground. That's one thing for sure. He needs soft ground. Darragh O'Keefe on his back, one of the best jockeys in Ireland, as I've already said. And it's definitely looking like Beyond the Law is going to be the one they all have to beat tomorrow. Moving on then to the 3 o'clock. This one here is a bit tricky now, a bit like all handicaps really. It's a funny sort of a race. It's actually not a handicap. It's a maiden hurdle, but like these maidens are nearly as bad as handicaps for trying to predict the winner. It's so hard because there's so many in here that you can physically make cases for. But Claire Bello is definitely an interesting one up at the very top of the market at 11-4. But I suppose just for value's sake more so than anything else, I'm going to be looking at something a little bit bigger and a little bit better. There's one in here that really, really takes my fancy. It's called Sunshine Beach. For Gillian Scott and Simon Torrance, claiming £5. This one here is currently priced at 16-1. And this one here is definitely well worth an each way bet. I think obviously when you look back on his previous form, his best run to date is definitely the last run when he was 50-1 and ran on for 5th over course and distance. He was only 8 lengths behind Priory Park, who is very well bred. Obviously, look at Dylan Thomas, Geldon out of Final Episode. Obviously, Final Episode is a definite article mare. Look at the breeding, definitely there is second to none. Really, you can't really say much more about it. Obviously, look at Sir Jack West. Put in a very decent performance there today. He was only 10 and 3/4 lengths behind Sir Jack West there today. Now, when you look at that sort of form for a maiden hurdle, that wasn't bad going. The fact that Sir Jack West really put in a stellar performance there today and really put up a very, very good show. Just looking down through the rest of the field, what did he beat? Nothing really there to be screaming and shouting about. But the one thing that I'm really liking here is the trainer's form. The trainer had started Monday, who won a fairly decent handicap there in the Curragh recently enough. Obviously, coming in from the back, winning Galway, that was a very impressive run as well. Gillian Scott is currently 50% strike rate at the moment. The fact that she's booking Simon Torrance is definitely very interesting, taking £5 off. Just going back through my head, who was riding Sunshine Beach that day? Ricky Doyle, who I think is a £5 claimer as well. I'm not 100% sure, but Simon Torrance, in my opinion, anyway, is definitely a bit of a better £5 claimer. In terms of quality, for the quality that you get with Simon Torrance, he's definitely one of the best in Ireland anyway, in my opinion. I think the course and distance, the fact that he did stay on very well that day, and the fact that he did put up a fairly decent performance at a price of 50-1, I would be siding with him. I think he's got a great chance here at going in, improving maybe another place or two places, potentially go on to win it. I'm not saying he is going to win it or not, but it's just ticking an awful lot of boxes for me. The course and distance form, that is absolutely nailed on. Especially reading races around Clonmel, you need horses that are going to run fairly credibly in the course like this. And the fact that I think it was his first run for the season as well, just off the top of my head, I'm not 100% sure. No, it wasn't, but it was definitely the first one that caught the eye for many punters. And 16-1 looks overpriced. I think each way you're definitely covering all angles, and you should get a good run for your money. There's no doubt about it. I think he's definitely going to be thereabouts in the finish. 3:32, a very funny time for a race in Ireland, but we'll go with this one anyway. It's a tricky one again. Obviously, looking at the likes of Envious Editor, who is 4-5. It looks to be the one to beat. He was fourth last time out of 20, behind Genoa, Micromanage, Great Bear, ahead of Galloway, Leah, Caletta Storm, Call Me Mary. Nothing really in there to be screaming and shouting about, folks, to be quite honest with you. Second of 17 behind He's a Hardy Bloke. There we go. Captain Kangaroo, who bet Kilcrew in the bumper. The Miser, who was, I suppose, a little bit of a tricky ride there today for Neil Gold. Who else is there now off the top of my head? There's nothing really there. Like, the price for this lad is really scratching my head. I know the fact that he's owned by Robcore and he's trained by Denise Foster. But why he's 4-5, I don't know. Like, the form is definitely there. Like, he's put in some fairly decent performances. 4-5, like that's absolutely shocking value. Do you know what? There's a little bit of money knocking around for Boher Lug, for Michael McDonough and Cathal Landers taking £5 off. He's currently priced at 12-1. He was fifth on his only start last time out over hurdles, behind Ramber and Jack, Harmunderson, Henry Starr, Name Me Famous, ahead of Two for the Road, Adnap, Know the Game, El Nido, Gringo Danny. Nothing really there, to be quite honest. He's beaten basically trees, but he was 125-1 that day. He was a tree himself, and he still ran on to be fairly credible against a fairly decent field. I think 12-1. When you're looking at 4-5 for an Envious Editor, you have to agree it's absolutely stunning. Now, saying that, it is a fairly weak field. If I suppose tipping away, if it was over a longer distance for tipping away, maybe say 2 mile 4, 2 mile 5, maybe for tipping away, I definitely would be getting on board him at 7-1. But yeah, do you know what? We'll go for this Boher Lug. 5-1, or not 5-1, 12-1 for a horse that finished fifth of I think it was 15. 5th-15, yeah, 5th-15 in Fairy House on soft ground. This ground is going to be perfect for him. Realistically, all he has to do is improve a couple of places, and we're in each way money there at 12-1. That is much better value for a 4-5 favourite that, in my opinion, isn't deserving of it. Now, he could go on to win. There's no doubt about it, but I definitely wouldn't be taking the price on him. 405 is going to be my patron pick of the day, so I'm not going to be covering that. I leave a bit of an explanation later on. 435, this one here, again, it's a tricky one to call. You could go for Paul Nolan or Sean O'Keefe. Obviously, the second last time out for Lafaline was definitely very encouraging. It was 12 lengths behind Avellino. Like, that definitely does stand out to be very good form. I definitely hold Avellino with high regard, but there is a better horse, potentially. in terms of what this horse can be. And this one here is silver class for the Martin setup and Robbie Power on board. This one here is currently priced in around 7-4. I think this one here is going to take no, it's not going to take the next best of the day, but it's definitely very, very good value. When you look at the quality of field this horse has been mixing it with, it's put up some fairly decent performances, I suppose, over it's put up some fairly decent performances over better opposition. It's coming down right down in quality here. Now it is not from 6th in the grade, but this is considerably weaker. When you think about it, all it really has to do is beat La Feline. Doesn't need to really improve a hell of a lot more to do that. And the fact that it has experience there, the fact that it does have a bit of quality behind it as well, I definitely think silver class could be the class act of the day here. There's no real point in looking down through the field for, I suppose, outsiders that could potentially bring a bit of a shock here now, because most of them don't have form to back themselves, never mind for punters to back them. But potentially Princely Con, he's a course winner, he's won over distance. You don't see too many JP horses running for Tom Mullins, especially with Danny Mullins on board. But he is a 12-year-old, so I don't know. I wouldn't be going for him, to be quite honest with you. Yeah, I think silver class is the one to be on. Being perfectly honest, I know it has to give a few pounds away to La Feline, but realistically, silver class has done enough to deserve top weight, and the ground conditions, everything should be perfect for him. I think he's going to be very, very hard to beat at 7-4. 505, the nap of the day, and this one here, unfortunately, is going to be an odds-on nap. But Robin de Foray at 8-11, this one here, like, you can't look past. Realistically, he is the class act of the race, and this is definitely the feature race today, because there's not really anything else in here that's putting up a rating of in around 148 or 150. But look at realistically, you look at Robin de Foray, he's coming in here off 11 stone 4. The next best, the next in America, Deafy Blue, is rated 136, but still has to give £6 to Robin de Foray. Now Robin de Foray is rated £12 better off. So technically, and I know technically doesn't really work out to be reality sometimes, but technically Robin de Foray is £18 well in. When you think about it that way, like, you can't look past it. I think it's going to be very, very hard to beat. Jordan Gainford is booked for Denise Foster's Deafy Blue to try and combat the weight discrepancy there, but realistically something will have to go wrong for Robin de Foray to lose tomorrow. I think he is absolutely nailed on. I think 8-11 is definitely a small bit of value. I know, look, when we're talking about odds on horses, you can't really be talking about value, but when you look at what this horse has done and what this horse has in terms of an advantage here, you have to be looking at a horse potentially 1-2, 1-3. I definitely think Robin de Foray is definitely well worth, suppose, doubling up, even potentially trebling up tomorrow. And I'm going to find exactly the one to double him up with tomorrow for you in the next race for the same stable. Dicer Domino, currently priced around 5-6. I think this one here definitely has to hold the next best of the day. I suppose, look, when you're looking down through the breeding, you have to realize how many potential superstars this lad is. Obviously, look at, he's a half brother to a very, very useful sort called Dicer Diamond. Now, most people would know Dicer Diamond. I think Dicer Diamond actually ran in Cheltenham there last week, if I'm not mistaken. But look at Dicer Diamond. I've always been a very, very big fan of him. I think he's a very talented sort. Obviously, when you're looking, say, further down the line, then you have horses in there like Native View, and I suppose whole the whole bloodline and the whole, I suppose, potential distance, everything else like that. It's all coming into here, into this lad's form. Like you have 2 mile flat, 2 mile, 2 mile 3 over hurdles, 2 mile, 2 mile to 3 mile. So the the distance isn't going to be a big issue for him. I know it's 2 mile too. Like realistically, this should be ideally his distance. He should be definitely well capable of polishing this field off. I think if he's anything like Dice or Diamond, he's going to run away with this victory here tomorrow. And 5 to 6 currently is definitely a little bit of value. I know. Look, like I said, with odds-on shots, you don't really want people talking about value and talking about odds-on horses, but the fact that he's 5 to 6, he's close enough to even money. You'd be practically doubling your money. Bar, I think if you put on, I think it goes to the fact if you put on a tenner, you get 19 back. So you're as good as doubling your money minus €1. So, like, I definitely think he's definitely well worth considering. But look, I'm going to leave it there. Please make sure to keep liking, sharing, and subscribing. 405 subscribers currently at the moment. I'm absolutely over the moon. But at the same time, we can't stop there. We need to keep pushing forward. We need to keep striving for more and striving for more success. And it all comes from ye, basically. All it takes for ye is just a second just to hit that subscribe button down below. The closer I get to 1,000 subscribers, the closer I get to looking at monetizing the channel. That would mean, say, more funds coming in to maybe improve equipment, different things like that. Maybe go to stable yards, stable visits, interviews, different things like that. But as well as that, I want to touch on interviews as a whole and touch on the patron aspect of things as well. Now, basically, what patron is, it's what we do. It's what we use for I suppose a bit of financial support for our weekly Irish racing podcast called the Irish Racing Hour. If you haven't already done so, check it on YouTube as well. The Irish Racing Hour. You'll see it through the search bar. We've interviewed many different people among the sorts: Aileen O'Sullivan, Maxine O'Sullivan, Rona McNally, Russell Ryan, James Fenton, Steph Searle from the Willie Mullins setup, Sean Flanagan, Cheltenham Festival winning jockey. Like, you can't go really wrong. What we do, we try and paint a bit of a picture for the outside eye as to what goes on behind the scenes in racing. We try and give as much airtime as we possibly can to those that probably don't get enough but deserve the most. And just, I suppose, to give back to something that people put their lives on the line for every single day. You've seen exactly what happened with Aileen O'Sullivan there today. It was very, very hard to watch, very hard to take. I was very, very worried for her, and I'm glad to hear that she's on the way to hospital without too serious of injuries. And look, hopefully Aileen makes a very, very speedy recovery on that front as well. But look, I'm going to leave it there. If you're going to be having a bet tomorrow, the very, very best of luck. Hopefully we've turned the screw now, and hopefully we will get on the back of plenty more winners now. But look, if not, very best of luck if you're going to be having a bet. I hope, for your sakes, that I've called it right.